Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio in Roselle, New Jersey. So, we got the Dube's remote level controller installed in our 2023/24 CVO. Amps are in the fairing. I wanted a way to be able to tell if the amplifier is clipping and have control over the amount of bass that the bike has from the front. The new CVO has no buttons on the dashboard. It's all controlled through the touchscreen. So we pulled the housing apart around the ignition switch. And when we flipped it over, we realized that there's two blanks. So I guess maybe in the lower models going forward, that's where the switches are going to be, or maybe that's where you add the optional switches for let's say lower fog lights or accessories. Or so you'll see in the video when you flip it over, the blanks are actually there. The spot to mount the screws is there. It's just the cutout is not cut out. So I'm assuming they're going to offer two versions of this shroud, one with the cutout, one without the cutout. So being that it was a spot where accessories are meant to be mounted, it worked out really good. We were able to mount them at the same angle the factory switches would be mounted at. So I knew that if the factory designed it to be mounted there, it would be level, easy to see, easy to reach, and symmetrical on both sides. So that's what we did. I built a small jig on the laser, so that way the LEDs would be perfectly aligned on one side and the base knob would be perfectly aligned on the other side. So the jig allowed us to center the lights and drill from the back without damaging the paint in the front. It came out really, really good. So check it out. I've had a few people reach out and ask me how to remove this housing. You have one plastic clip, you use a plastic pry tool to remove. Then you have to remove the CVO trim piece with a plastic panel tool. Show me the back of the piece. So make sure you pry from the top because you don't want to break the clip on the bottom. So it's only one clip on the top. Make sure you pry on the top side. Then you have two Phillips head screws, and then the unit pops apart after you remove the 10mm bolt on this side and on this side. So Chris is going to pop it apart for us. Make sure not to mark up the paint. As you can see, you have a tab here and one tab all the way at the bottom. Those are the release points. And it comes off that easily. Okay, so we're doing the Dube's custom remote level controller mount. So on the 23/24 CVO, if you look on the back, there's accessory switch knockouts. It's just the hole hasn't been cut. So I'm assuming there's gonna be two versions of this cover. And then they have the standoffs where the screw would mount. And then you could see the outline where the Harley-Davidson standard switch would go. I guess this is gonna be an option going forward, or for the non-CVO models where this part will have an opening and I'll have a hardwired switch. We're just guessing at this point. It's a brand new bike, it's a brand new platform, so we don't know what it is they're gonna do. You can see on this side, there's the mark out. It's not cut on this side. And there's the two tabs where the screw would go into. So what we did was we cut out some templates on the laser. The reason we did this is the angle has already been figured out by the manufacturer. So if you mount it at that point, it's gonna be on the correct angle. And we know that because we're going right where the factory location is. To make it easier to install, we cut out these templates on the laser. So it lines it up perfectly for you. So you could drill a small starter hole there and there to make sure that the LEDs are perfectly lined up and they are on the correct angle, just like the factory switch would be at the same exact angle. We did one for the other side as well, for the knob. So This one has one hole in the center for the level control knob. This one has two holes for the fiber optic LED ends. So if you order the level controller from us, we'll include these at no extra charge, just so you can make sure your hole is nice, even, and straight, just like that. So we're gonna bring it over on the bike, show you how clean it looks and how well it works. This is the one for the sound digital amplifiers. I'm sure there'll be a universal one coming. 23/24 CVO. On the new CVO, everything's done through the touchscreen, including turning accessories on and off, and the power locks. So there's no hardwired switches other than the handlebars. All right, now it's time to put it back together. The optics are going to slide right in there. Chris is feeding the optics from the back to make sure they sit flush. There's room for the controller right under here. This entire spot is empty, so the base of the controller sits snugly inside there, and we just clip it all back together. Make sure it's centered so the screws will line up properly. Okay, there you go, it just booted up. So we can shut it off and continue putting it back together. Definitely do not use a power screwdriver on this. You will strip out the plastic threads.